Hey everybody, this is Alzorath, and welcome to another episode of Built from Scratch. Today we're going to be going around with a little bit of a construction most of the time. I'm going to be building pretty much a mob farm today. I'm doing my own little special version of it though, and I'm breaking off some of my old tools just so I can get rid of them. But we're going to start digging down, and it's going to be this large of an area, square all the way down. We're not far from home, which is about a mountain that way. I'll show you guys probably either later in this episode or in the next episode on the way back. I missed a few things in the last Built from Scratch episode that I meant to talk about and just kind of got distracted from them, and I'm going to work on not doing that again. Things such as why I didn't do Let's Plays of Final Fantasy VI and stuff like that. Gotta load up all my pickaxes. But that was because whenever I got around to even starting up a channel and getting used to doing LPs, I realized that LPs were not necessarily my thing, and there's a pit right there that I've already explored, so I was kind of expecting it. Let's go ahead and knock that down. But the main reason I didn't do them is because I don't think I could do them justice. Honestly, I lack the ability to sit down and focus on a single game for hundreds and hundreds of hours in a row to perfect a sort of strategy guide, which is what I think LPs should be. They should be a walkthrough of the game, not just somebody playing the game in their own fashion. That's another reason why I do competitive commentary, and I often call myself out on some of the mistakes, and I welcome people calling me out on the mistakes. I think there is a purpose to basically, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, purpose to basically doing it the best you can and having it be educational rather than just strictly har 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 I'm playing games. That is one of the few areas where I agree with, say, Total Biscuit in whenever it comes to the making of LPs, although I do think that LPs serve a valuable entertainment place in our society. So we'll see how that turns out as far as permissions and stuff go. As far as like the future of the channel, I am working on basically trying to streamline it so I can get videos uploaded to my channel earlier so that they can deal with any of the events that might pop up from the lovely little changes to YouTube. I will be probably leaving my network fairly soon, probably whenever my current contract basically ends, which means I'll either be looking for a new network that takes a smaller cut or a network that will actually protect me for the same cut. Because RPM, all they're offering is the affiliate status, which basically I'm just as good off in affiliate as I am out by myself. So that's that, and yeah. But today I think I'll go with something a little bit more lighthearted than all of that kind of discussion, which is a little bit of a downer, I guess. So let's instead look at why I even started YouTube to begin with. This is a question that gets asked a lot, and it also kind of ties into another question I get asked every now and then, is how do I keep doing YouTube? Well, I got into YouTube mainly because, without going into too much detail because it's going to be another episode at some point, I'm just not super sure how to express it yet, but simply put, I was in a very rough place in my life at that time, and I needed something to vent, needed something creative, needed something to do. And I enjoyed watching LPs, and I had thought about doing LPs in YouTube all the way back to 2010. I've been watching YouTube develop since 2006. I've been around the block, and I thought, okay, I'll get in on it. The ultimate trigger, I've been through rough times before and not done YouTube, but the thing that ultimately triggered it was probably seeing what Kurt J. Mack did with the Farlands or Bust. That's why you'll see me mention him so many times. It's because I really do see a lot of value in projects like that, even if they may be in a gray area of copyright, which he's not. He's perfectly fine because Mojang gives blanket permission to create videos using Minecraft. Heck, Notch has even donated decent chunks of money to Farlands or Bust to support a Child's Play charity, and that's also a reason why I thought about doing a series about catching Kurt, and I may still do that. I might do a series called that and just have it direct to his Farlands or Bust page or to his series. just to try to help promote that. It depends on the kind of reception you guys have for it as to whether I'd actually do something like that. I think it would be interesting to try and just not track his steps, but perform the same feat. Load up 1.7.4 beta and start walking in that direction and see if we can catch his numbers at some point in less than 3 years without using nether or cheats or anything like that. It would require daily episodes, that's for dang sure. But it's something to consider and something that I've thought about a lot. Nowadays, the Farlands, by the way, for those of you that are wondering, do not exist. In the newer versions of the game, there's just a point where you just drop off the map. It's not a visual drop-off, it's you quite literally fall through the earth because of the errors. Dang, I'm burning through these stone pickaxes a lot faster than I thought I would. I'm doing something similar to this on a server that I'm on that, for some reason, it feels like the stone picks last longer there. I don't know why. The only reason I'm using them here is because it's cheaper than iron, and I'm kind of low on iron from making... there's some hoppers right down there that I'm going to be throwing the ore in so I can figure out just how much I get from doing a project like this. It's just curiosity for that, so I'm not going to be able to use any of the resources you see me gather here except for possibly the cobblestone and such. So that's going to be a little bit of an interesting thing to figure out. We also have a spawner, I think it is that way, that I'm going to use to get villagers for potentially making an iron farm on here. If I do that, I'll cover the blueprints and stuff like that, or do a time lapse of how to build it, something like that, because it is a little bit of a convoluted thing to do. So let's go ahead and dig down here. There's a pillar where I fell down, so let's go ahead and mine that up and gather up some of these. No resources wasted. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna waste resources, but the goal is to go all the way down to 10 on this, which is way down there. I'll do most of it off camera, so you won't have to worry about watching this the entire time. It might take several episodes for me to complete, though, due to time constraints. So, you ugly, you ugly. We'll leave that open in case we fall, just in case. I'm gonna need more shovels too, but some people suggested that I do some roller coasters, some redstone contraptions. That's gonna mean I'm gonna need a lot of resources, and well, this will provide me a good number of them. It won't provide me a lot of building resources, but it'll provide me a lot of arrows, bones, which bones in turn give me the resources for wood and food, of course, and it will also give me webs, which can make wool if I happen to not make a sheep farm, which I think I have enough sheep nearby to make a sheep farm. And I think I lost some cobble down there. Oh darn. But yeah, I got started on YouTube because, simply put, rough time mixed with inspiration mixed with, wow, I wish I could do that. I'm gonna try doing that. And just being interested in gaming at that time, and I still have ebbs and flows of my interest in gaming, and it just happens with everyone who does this, I think, where there's times where it's hard to actually make the videos and times when it's not. More recently, an example of this would be, for a little while there, I was having really horrible luck at Shadow Arrow, and I really didn't want to record it, but I kept on going, and eventually it passed, and that's one of the ways that I've learned to keep going with the YouTube thing. Even whenever I'm having like a bit of a funk, I know that eventually it will get better, and I'll go back to having a lot of fun with this, and I still do have a lot of fun with this now. And wow, we're already 10 minutes into the episode, I believe, if my memory is correct. I'm looking at the timer on my audio recorder. But what keeps me doing it now, even more than just whether it's fun or not, is you guys, honestly. For a while there, I went through a dry spell in comments, and I just kind of... I went through a dry spell in content during that time, too. Because the feedback from you is what really makes me decide what I want to do with my channel. And while I don't take suggestions per se, like I don't take, say, if somebody says, do this, or fight this person, I don't do those right off the bat, and I don't usually go out of my way to do those, because in the end, it's the content that I think the vast majority will like. If there's a big outpouring for it, yeah, I'll definitely do it. But I try not to do custom things for individual people unless it's really, really, really interesting or really unique for me, or something that I find extremely interesting, such as right now I'm getting back into programming, which a few of my fans have been actually talking to me directly about it, and I do plan to release the games that I make. I just will probably start out releasing simple crap, such as the end result of making Pong. I'm following a tutorial over on Brackeys for that one. And I'm learning C#, well, relearning C# on my own, as I mentioned last time. And that's the kind of thing that interests me. I'm first and foremost, I think of myself as a designer, if that makes sense. Not necessarily a set up the living room kind of designer, but more a creative, making things for people kind of designer, like games and stuff like that. Because something a lot of people don't know about is when I was younger, like even high school, pre-high school days, I would end up making games and such with just whatever I had around. I'd make a pen and paper game. A few people even helped me make characters for a tabletop RPG, which I should break out, dust off, and turn into something for this channel, but I don't even remember where the notebooks are for it. But that's the kind of stuff that I enjoy, and I enjoy getting feedback on that from the people who follow me. I also enjoy seeing what they enjoy doing, because that in turn gives me even more ideas. It's just a kind of feeding thing. The bigger the channel is, the more I can do, the more creative freedom I have, and the more I enjoy it. And one thing you might hear me say a lot is the bigger the channel gets, the more varied types of content I can create, because the reason for that is, yes, YouTube is a business. I'm not going to ignore that fact. I don't do it for the money, not in any form or fashion, but it is definitely something that is an impacting force in what your favorite content creators create on YouTube. If they can't make a living doing it, they can't create the content they want to create. For me, it's kind of if it doesn't help pay for that hour of work I missed or something like that, I can't spend that extra hour on creating additional content. So that's one reason why this recent YouTube change kind of shocked me up a little bit, because I'm not earning money from it in any real sense, but it was enough that I could add new series and it would pay for it. I could use the money towards, say, a highly, highly discounted game on Steam and review it and add that kind of content for you guys. Let's just put it this way, I'm earning less than $10 a month from this right now. Whenever I go solo, it'll probably be about that. I can't give exact numbers. It's first of all against the contract. That's just a rough amount. It's not much. But that's just because of the content I create and the advertising it has on it. But that's how I keep creating content. And we're at about 15 minutes, so I should probably jump onto a viewer question. While I've spent this entire episode digging, I can look over here at my little notebook. As you can see, I went into my inventory because I only have one monitor right now. I'm saving up to get a car situation fixed, and then I can save up and start getting my rig situation all set up and all that stuff, such as a second screen. Let's see. What kind of questions should I answer? I've been talking about YouTube all day today, so let's go ahead and move on to something not YouTube, and we'll take an anonymous question from Ask FM this time. You can always go there and ask questions that you'd like to hear me answer there, and since it's an anonymous question, I'm not going to have it in a tower, but I'll probably have a first floor to this thing, or a kind of building around this that will have all the named questions in on plaques, probably the first 50 or so questions. But let's go ahead and go with an anonymous question, and it is, what is your opinion of Android console gaming and handheld gaming as a whole? Well, handheld gaming is going to be moving towards phones, I'd wager. It's just getting too much into that realm. I mean, you have your Nintendo DS's, and that's pretty much it. You have your kind of light competitors for it. but I don't see it sticking around on that for too long. I see it moving more towards being on... Ooh, I broke another one. Sorry about that. Being more in the realm of your phone being your mobile gaming device and your computer being your home gaming device. Consoles will still have a place, as they are a uniform kind of... We can create anything we want, and it will be for sure run. If it runs on one, it runs on all kind of situation, which is a very handy thing for a developer. I'm just going to say that right now. And I believe we just... Yeah. It's a very handy thing for a developer to be able to do that, because they don't have to worry about optimizing for all of these different pieces of hardware. Like, my PC is a very awkward setup because it's not standard, but the way I set it up is specifically to gear it so that it works fine with a variety of titles. That's kind of assembler's end of things. But a lot of people don't do that. They'll have weird hardware conflicts. They'll have weird software conflicts. In fact, there is one recently that was with QuickTime. A game installed an old version of QuickTime, and it caused it so I couldn't render videos. Go figure on that one. Let's go ahead and load that all up in there and get these down in our inventory. Boop, 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 boop. And yeah, you don't have to deal with that on consoles. It's a unique environment that won't go away. As far as Android specifically, I think is a very good thing, especially now that we're seeing it in things like the Ouya. And yes, I know the Ouya was a failure, and I'm going to pronounce it 20 million different ways, but the Ouya kind of was a proof of concept. It can be done. It can be done better. And a lot of their choices as far as the business goes have been fairly weak. And the key thing that they should have been after, if they really wanted to push the success of the Ouya, would have been to legitimize not necessarily the act of emulating, but make it possible for developers to drop their emulated games on there much easier. Basically like what Sega has done on Steam. And I hate promoting Sega, but the fact that they have re-released many of their old Genesis titles on Steam, where you can download and play them, and I have yet to run into one that didn't work, is kind of an interesting concept that I wish Ouya would have taken further. Yes, they had a few console ports, but nothing really extraordinary that you could really bite into. As soon as a company is able to get those rights to distribute the classics and stuff like that, I think we'll see a more of a resurgence in the basically Android console market. The thing that kind of is hurting them, and honestly, Ouya is not the groundbreaking one there as far as creating a console-safe environment, but the thing that's hurting them is they didn't go for that. They were 100% going, indie titles come here. And yes, indie titles are an important thing to cater to, and they are a growing market and something that a lot of people are moving in towards, especially with the growth of YouTube as a gaming platform. A gaming site, if you will. I just completely lost track of my thought right there whenever my pick broke. But the thing that they forgot, even though YouTube is big on the indie games, because the indie games give YouTube users permissions out the wazoo as far as promoting their product. They're like, go take it, run with it, do what you will, have fun with it, enjoy it, and create content with it. The other aspect of YouTube is covering the classics. A lot of medium YouTubers are almost strictly classic game based, not necessarily indie game. Yes, the big ones like PewDiePie are, but the smaller ones that have consistent fan bases that approach them all the time are the ones that have kind of the games with a cult following. Like Minecraft has a cult following, which is another question on the list, which I'll go into another time. But we're closing in on 20 minutes, and I think that the future of Android gaming is positive if they can get a hold of the footing that they need to create a more healthy gaming environment for them, for their consoles and their mobile devices, which I haven't seen them really attempting to do. Or if they have attempted to do it, it's not publicly visible, which is really unfortunate. They need to really pressure companies like, I can't say Nintendo because they are a console and publisher, but companies like Ubisoft and Blizzard, especially. Blizzard would be a good one to go for classic games with, because a lot of people don't seem to realize that, hey, Blizzard made SNES, Genesis kind of titles. They have a history, but most people aren't aware of that history, and it would be a good thing for a Android one to jump on that. But I must digress, because it is way, way, way past the time of when I should have stopped this episode. I want to aim for 15 to 20 minutes, not these 30-minute episodes like I did last time. But hope you guys enjoyed watching me dig for 20 minutes. Oh, it's a spider. Am I going to die? We're going to find out. Where did you come from? Oh, you came from out here. Okay. That's a lot of tracking you did there, buddy. I'm going to close this up now that I'm down below it. But hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to probably still be building this as of the next episode, but I do plan to jump into some redstone projects. I do plan to jump into potentially making something like a roller coaster. Potentially. That's probably a further off goal. But if you liked it, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time on Built From Scratch. Be sure to keep gaming, have fun, peace out, and yeah, check out Kurt J. Max's channel to see the guy that kind of inspired me and gave me that extra push to get into gaming creation. Check out the history of Ouya by searching around all over YouTube. I may do an episode on that one myself, why I think it failed and such. But yeah, I'll say this outro about 3 times, and then I'll be gone. This has been Alzorath. Bye.